Welcome back and welcome in if you're new here. My name is Kay and today's Swatch Sesh, sponsored by Cracked Polish, actually features their Music is Life collection, which they created in collaboration with the Polished Bookworm. Aside from that 8-piece set, I'll also be showing you the March Jelly of the month. I also have a bonus shade and a sticker to show you. So let's go ahead and get into the sesh. Let's check all of these things out, and then I'll be back with some details about the launch. Spinning vinyl. We kick off the sesh with a magnetic polish that I'll be showing off in the unmagnetized state before I move on to the cat eye and velvet styles. So while this is officially described as a deep red base, it really takes on this burgundy tone when you apply it, and I think that's due to the addition of those blue and purple magnetic pigments, which you can really start to appreciate now that I've moved on to this second coat. And after trying out a multitude of magnetics, I've come to solidify my idea that a good magnetic polish is one that also looks great unmagnetized, and spinning vinyl is definitely going down that route. Wearing it like this reminds me of the Night Elf race in World of Warcraft, but check out that amazing shift into purple and magenta tones. It is so different under lower indirect lighting. Another way to make it different is to throw a magnet at it, not literally though. This cat eye style really allows that deep red I mentioned earlier to come through without inhibitions, while the magnetic pigment rushes to the middle of the nail or to wherever you place the magnet. Now, a U magnet gives us the unmagnetized look, but on steroids, because now we're luminous, we're moving, now you see it, now you don't, and that is the magic of a U magnet. It creates somewhat of a Schiller effect, which is what you see on a labradorite stone. It's really cool, and it basically makes it very easy for your nails to become a pretty big source of entertainment. On shuffle. On Shuffle is next in the sesh, and it's described as a teal jelly base with a nice seasoning of teal holographic glitters. I love this formula because it gives two things that I find to be really fun in nail polish, which is visible nail line plus a little dash of rainbow sparkle. Now this jelly is buildable, and I'd recommend 2 coats. A third may provide too much coverage, and if you're into visible nail line, you may lose it at that point. When it comes to that sparkle seasoning, Cracked was generous. They used the big scoop here and plopped in a whole lot of hollows for us, so you will see those rainbow pops under regular lighting, but if you know me, then you know I'm gonna give you the full effect. Here we have it. It is impossible to not get pulled in by the spontaneous twinkles across the nail, giving us little rainbow surprises here and there. It does add in a little something extra that makes this polish a little bit more interesting to look at. So if you like the teal and you like some rainbow, then I think you'll be happy with this one. I burned you a CD. I really hope you like it. I put what I think is the best of Hiatus Coyote, a little Puerto Rican touch with Cultura Profética, some Alanis Morissette, 1 or 2 picks from the Pick of Destiny soundtrack by Tenacious D, some 2000s R&B, and just 2000s hits in general. Enjoy! On my nails, however, we have this color shifting formula with reddish tones that change to orange and gold tones under lower lighting. The formula has fair coverage, but it's certainly not a one-coater. Now, I mentioned a lower lighting shift earlier, and here is that clip. You get a lot of those rich, warm hues coming out to play under indirect lighting. It kind of reminds me of a sunset, but then under normal lighting, that reddish tone is the obvious and predominant one. Start to finish. And now we're gonna make a quick stop at Sparkletown. This one's one of my favorites from this collection, so let me break it down. We start off with not 1, but 2 different colors of iridescent microflakes, which are pink and purple. And if you see some hollow, you are correct. There's also a dash of what appears to be holographic microflakes. Now, this was a polish that I really had to stop and consider whether or not it actually needed a second coat. There's just so much sparkle going on that it can do a really good job at filling in certain areas, but after close inspection, it did in fact need this second coat, and here we have the end result. I don't think you can ever go wrong with a pink, purple, and hollow color combo, with that pink taking a considerable amount of the spotlight, and you don't even need any special lighting to make it come through. It's just there. But what would benefit from special lighting are those hollows. You do get rainbow pops under normal lighting, but the actual linear hollow effect will need this type of intense direct lighting to come through. And when it does, you'll love it, you will welcome it, your eyes will want more of it, because in my opinion, it's just one of the prettiest special effects out there. On repeat. So here we have what I'm going to call the sibling of On Shuffle. It seems like we have the same exact formula with a change in both the color of the base and the glitter. On Repeat has an olive green and jelly base, and it has that nice touch of green holographic glitters. In applying it, I noticed it feels exactly the same as On Shuffle did, and it's actually really cool to see this formula in two different colors because I dig it, and I do hope we get more color versions of this in the future. This is the literal definition of a prugly in my opinion. It's pretty on one side thanks to the hollows, and then ugly thanks to that base color. But don't come for me in the comments. Just because I said it's ugly does not mean that I'm not gonna wear it. Now, pointing strong direct lighting at those hollows will plump them up a little bit, as in we'll get some stronger rainbow pops here and there, but it's really not necessary since you can still get your rainbow fix with this one under regular lighting. Windows down, volume up. This little one is interesting to me. You might not notice at first glance, but we actually have a sage green acting as a base color here. It's a jelly base, and that color stands out to me because it kind of seems more common to go with something like a light gray base. So this color choice is peculiar to me. And of course, you can't miss those beautiful blue Aurora shimmers, which are the only elements in this polish. Therefore, as you can imagine, this one's gonna be up there on the sheerness scale. Now notice the specific tone of blue we have here. It's not intense or electric. It has somewhat of a soothing aspect to it while still feeling very lively. And it does have a little color shifting action, as you can see here. We get some purple tones under this lower indirect lighting. It's not the strongest or most obvious shift, but it is perceivable. I'd also say this polish could work as a topper, but this polish might swallow the color beneath it, so you may want to experiment first. Orchestra Pit. Moving on to this fancy shade that seems to represent the classical genre. What we have here is a gold color with golden reflective particles that I'll definitely be showing off soon. Let's talk about the feel though, because if you've ever worked with a reflective polish, you've probably noticed that they can be a little bit thicker since those reflective particles can be quite gritty and add substance, right? So I can feel that with this formula, but it's nothing to be concerned about. This one has great coverage. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you decide to use it as a one coater, but I did move on to a second layer, and the closer I get to the end result, the more I find myself feeling like this is a gold that I am definitely gonna wear. Now, I didn't add a top coat here, but it definitely needs it. You may even want to consider a glitter smoother because you can see the grittiness of the reflectives coming through. So why don't we just fully let them in with some strong direct light, which tends to awaken these particles, but since they're gold and the polish is gold, they're not the most obvious. However, you're still gonna get some extra sparkle. Notice how in this clip, they look quite silver against the bottle, but they are officially described as gold. That could just be due to the lighting against the glass. Regardless, this is a classic color that I think would appeal to a lot of people with or without the reflectives. Grenadine. Joining the sesh now is the March Jelly of the month called Grenadine. Now this one surprised me because it appears darker in the bottle, however on the nail it is what I would describe as a bright red. I want to say it leans towards a primary red hue. Sadly though, my natural nail has not grown to my desired length and I won't be touching any doors throughout this sesh, but I still have to wear this fake nail, which inhibits my ability to really appreciate the sheerness and of course the VNL that jellies provide. Still, we can definitely appreciate the color and the end result as I finalize this second layer. Notice that brightness that I was referring to earlier. Grenadine is going to be especially great for the seasonally appropriate fam since summer is coming right up and this red is gonna pop. It's gonna give that vibrancy and that boldness that a lot of us tend to seek out during the summer season. Beginner's luck. I'm a believer of beginner's luck, and I also love that this polish matches my birthstone, peridot. Now this one's a magnetic topper, which I'll swatch in 2 other styles, but let's give the unmagnetized state some love first. Immediately, we can all notice the level of sheerness that we have here, which is to be expected due to that topper status, right? So if you're gonna rock this one in this way, do prepare yourself, put on your favorite show. For me, that's gonna be the 2nd season of the One Piece live action, because you will need at least 3 coats, which is what I'm applying here. And at this point, you can already start to see how it's coming together and how those green particles are creating some nice coverage across the nail, supporting this very glowy green. You get more of a yellowish tone where the light hits, while everything around it stays more or less in that green zone, unless you move under lower lighting, which will essentially replace that yellow with a blue tone, which also causes the green to take on a different hue here. Another way to bring about a new color is with a bar magnet, which pulls in all of that magnetic pigment like a curtain, revealing that blackened base, which is gonna look quite dark here because I applied 3 coats. And notice how there's also these little black specks around the green and yellow magnetic lines. I actually find that to be pretty cool. You'll also see that blue showing up alongside the green in the same way it showed up when unmagnetized. And lastly, here's the end result when using a U magnet, which does a great job at making it look like you have LEDs inside your nail. That flash of yellow is pretty strong, and that's also thanks to the nice amount of magnetic pigment that we get in this formula. Overall, this is a great multi-seasonal polish in my opinion, especially because it's a topper, but as you already saw here, it's gonna be great on its own too. Headphones on. Moving on to what I'm going to introduce as an elevated palette cleanser. So let me break this down. We have a mauve jelly base and within it, a good amount of gold pigment. However, even though it's not in Crack's official description, I'm going to say that we have a third visitor, a third element here, or at least that's what it looks like, because where are those pops of rainbow coming from, Is this hollow? We will be inspecting that soon, but for now, let's admire the end result. Remember, I introduced this as an elevated palette cleanser, and maybe you are also catching that vibe. But now we need to inspect. What do we have here? A third player, perhaps? I mean, I'll take it. Secret Hollow makes for a great surprise, and another surprise is that this is a magnetic. I hadn't realized that before I took off my fake nail, so I came back to swatch on the shorty just to show you. The cool thing about this one is that although the gold particles are magnetic, there's also an extra scattering of non-magnetic gold particles that you can see in the background. They're just laying around in the base. They weren't pulled by the magnet, so I find that to be pretty neat. Now, velvetizing it is gonna cast that gold sheen across the nail, and out of the 3 magnetics of this collection, this one seems to have the weakest effect. Now, I don't know if that's because this is a low contrast look, the mauve doesn't really help the gold pop, or if it's because we have a wee bit less of that magnetic pigment. Don't get me wrong though, the effect is noticeable as you can see in my clips, just not quite as strong as the other 2 magnetics in my opinion. We are also getting a sticker in this drop. This is the Music is Life sticker featuring a cute little cat wearing headphones over a crown of some colorful flowers. This sticker has a glossy finish and it is a pretty decent size. It also seems to be on the thicker side, which is nice. And if you like it, you can grab it on launch day for $3 on the Cracked website. All right, let me take you back to when I first received the information for this collection. And I specifically remember that Cracked had a picture of a pile of CDs with their undersides up. So all you could see was the hollow right on the backside of CDs. And that's going to be a really important piece of information because that picture was what helped me understand the color palette that we have here, because it is random, y'all. If you didn't notice that on my swatches, you'll notice that on my swatch collage at the end coming up. I promise I sat here trying to pick up a vibe like a nail whisperer, and all I saw was color. I got a 404 error essentially in my brain, page not found. I just didn't understand where this color palette was headed. But then that picture came to mind, and I could be so super wrong right now, but my brain literally needs an answer. So I'm going to say that this color palette here is inspired by the undersides of CDs, which are random in color. Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe you understand the direction here better than I do. But let's get to the details. So this 8-piece Music is Life collection is going to launch on Friday, the 27th at 11 a.m. EST. It is going to retail for $98 USD, but you can always pick up the individual shades for $14 USD. Now, if on that day you only have money for one polish, I am going to recommend you go with Start to Finish, which really reminds me of the underside of a CD as well. I don't know if that was the inspiration here, but you know how some CDs have like a purple color, like a purple tone and the hollow? This is what that polish looks like a lot, especially because there's actual hollow in there. I mean, especially because of everything. It literally looks like that. So if you have money for two, then I will recommend Beginner's Luck. And if you have money for 3 polishes, then I'm going to go with Orchestra Pit. So that was today's sesh. Thank you so much for all of your support. I really appreciate you tuning into my channel, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching so much. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.